Welcome back. The new Biden administration could make big changes to the nation's cyber policy. Some of those changes might be from the Cyber Solarium Commission's recommendations. Some of them might be changes Congress makes the new administration make. Eric Crusius is partner at Holland Knight. Eric, thanks very much for coming on the program. For all the cyber issues that you and I have talked about over the last number of months and years now, I suppose, what do you think are some of the locks that will change, that will impact contractors in the coming months and years?
I mean, I think the biggest one is the appointment of a national cyber director, which is something that the Democrats and Republicans in Congress have been pushing for. The only slight roadblock has been the administration, which has not really seen that as a priority. But it sounds like a Biden administration does also see that as a priority, so I wouldn't be surprised if it makes its way into the current NDAA that's being negotiated and perhaps signed by President Trump. If not, I could see it as a standalone bill soon after President-elect Biden takes office. And that will have a potentially positive effect on the government. It will hopefully smooth out the differences throughout the government and cybersecurity policy. Also, you're seeing a situation where contractors, really across different agencies, have different cybersecurity requirements, and that makes things a little bit more difficult from a compliance standpoint. And I think most contractors understand that cybersecurity is important, and they understand that there's a risk associated with cybersecurity and a lack thereof. And they just kind of want to be told what to do. And having the same, essentially, cybersecurity requirements across all agencies will be very helpful.
And as I alluded to at the beginning of our conversation, there are some things that the new president could decide himself to do. I imagine he could appoint a cyber czar. It depends what you call it. But he could put someone in his own White House to basically fill that job until Congress gives him the legislative authority, couldn't he?
Absolutely, and I think that czar can really impact regulations on government contractors. I think, why we see such changes in the government contracting space from administration to administration is presidents realize they don't need Congress to do very much in order for changes to be effectuated onto government contractors, because the president is in charge of that regulatory body that controls or regulates what contractors are able to do and not able to do. And cybersecurity is certainly one of those areas. So we could see changes without Congress acting at all.
You and I have spoken on a number of occasions about the cybersecurity maturity model certification process at the Department of Defense. One of the things that I ask Katie Arrington on just about every time she's on the program is, what are you doing now to codify this, to build this into the process? Is it your sense that those efforts have been successful and that the CMMC effort will continue into the new administration?
My best guess is that CMMC will continue. It may not be exactly the same, but I think it would be largely the same. We have a new CMMC regulation. We have a couple of other regulations that are helping roll in CMMC while there's a 5-year kind of rollout period. There have been some former Obama administration officials that have been critical of CMMC, but there hasn't been an alternative proposed that would do the job that they're looking to do. So until the government contracting community sees something better from a meta standpoint, I don't think that we'll see CMMC go away. Like I said, there could be changes at the margins, but we've already gone down this road pretty far. And that's not to say that anything can't be rescinded, right? CMMC could be rescinded the first day that President Biden takes office, but I see that as pretty unlikely at this point.
And it seems to me the most significant factor there is the fact that it's now already written into a couple of the small business contract vehicles at the General Services Administration. Is that fair to say?
Yes, and I think you'll see other civilian agencies kind of rolling this out. As long as they see a successful rollout by DoD, I think they're going to get on board because they see this as kind of the best thing that's out there to protect CUI and other information that the contracting community has.
What else is on your landscape cyber-wise, Eric? What should companies pay attention to if they want to continue to do business with the government and the new administration?
I think one thing that contractors kind of overlook with everything going on with CMMC and even the FAR clause is that the fact that agencies themselves have the power to kind of write their own cybersecurity clauses. So there are a ton of agencies like the IRS, DHS that have their own specific cybersecurity clauses that have requirements on contractors. One clause has a requirement that a breach be told to the government within an hour of discovery, which is very difficult. So I think contractors should pay attention to those clauses, and I think we might see a proliferation of those potentially in a Biden administration that's looking to kind of shore up cybersecurity across the government. I think that's the major thing that contractors should look at.
Is it possible that someone in the new administration could look across that landscape and say this is too much and it's unreasonable to ask these companies to do this, and try to form at least one base policy from which agencies can work?
I definitely think that's a possibility. I mean, the whole idea of the FAR many years ago is to kind of smooth out government contracting across the government. And here we have, each agency has their own set of regulations now. And I think the same thing happened with cybersecurity policy, where we had the FAR clause that was a baseline, and then each agency saw that wasn't enough, and now has instituted their own regulations to implement stricter cybersecurity protocols. But I could very well see a kind of a Biden administration coming in, raising the bar in that FAR clause, and then kind of wiping out those specific clauses across the different agencies, to the extent that that clause becomes more stringent than those agency clauses.
Eric Crusius, thanks very much as always. Great to have you on the program.
Thank you.